Hello and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Glennis, a program manager at Incubate Hub. We are here joined by a startup called Collaborative Intelligence.
Hey, hi. Hello. Hey, hi.
Hi. Please stay muted. We will ask you to, if you have any queries, we can take it up later. Hi. Please stay muted. We will ask you. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Glennis, a program manager at Incubate Hub. We are here joined by a startup called Collaborative Intelligence. We also have Sangeeta Das, who is a co-founder. In this session, she will be taking us to Collabant's solution offering on industrial operations in mining and other industries for safety. Thank you, Sangeeta Das, and everyone present here for taking your time to join us. We are thrilled to have you all here, as in this session, we aim to provide you with valuable information on platform that will use satellite imagery for mineral exploration, natural and geological activities, and address any queries you might have about the same. Now, without any further ado, I would like to hand over the mic to Sangeeta Das, our speaker from Collabant.
Yeah, thank you, Janice. I am sorry about the presentation. I'm at a location, and this is a client location, and I'm actually there's very little place for me to do a call, so I'm actually in the hotel room trying to do this webinar. But I'm glad for those of you who actually took some time out of your important day to attend to this webinar. And I think it's important for everyone to just know a little bit about what we do before I dive into this particular project or this particular deck. So my name is Sangeeta Das, and I represent a company called Collaborative Intelligence. And Collaborative Intelligence is actually a startup, and we are largely in the area of robotics and artificial intelligence. We believe that we're experts in computer vision, so anything that you want to do vision related, we have a solution for you. We've been working extensively with the government, and we have a very good platform where we use satellite imagery and do analytics using satellite imagery. So our product or our platform can be utilized by anybody to do their work in terms of anything to do with aerial or satellite imagery analytics. At the same time, we've been doing a lot of work in the robotics space, autonomous platforms, or remotely operated robots in the government space. In the government space. So we believe that a combination of all of these products can be of extremely helpful for the commercial side of the business. We were founded in 2017, so it's been pretty much 7 to 8 years of our existence. And ever since we started, we have been extensively working with the government. And our belief has been that if we can build a product that meets the military standards, we can pretty much do anything commercially. So we are at a stage where we think we have been able to build solutions that are acceptable to the government, to the military, and therefore this is probably the right time to enter into the commercial side of the business or the commercial clients. So we're sort of pivoting away now to enter the non-governmental sectors. And as we decided, we thought that we believe that mining and industrial operations is very close to what we are already doing. And our platforms can sort of seamlessly transition to solving some of the most compelling problems that these industries face today. So just in a nutshell, what do we do? Like I said, we're a robotics and AI and robotics company. We can pretty much make anything that is unmanned intelligence, and we provide you intelligence as a service. So in short, that's really what we do. So now with that, I'm actually going to move into our presentation for the day. And once again, thank you for taking the time out. And I hope that this presentation is going to be of value to you. So we talk a little bit about mining today. And why did we pick mining as an industry? Because mining industry, the robotics business in mining is expected to grow at almost 37% of CAGR. By 2030, it's expected to be at about over 300 billion. That's the industry size, the industrial robotics business. So we believe that we are at the right place at the right time. We've stuck it in. We've been in the robotics business since 2017, like I said, and we've not wavered. And we never thought that we should just leave the robotics business and get into the drone space, because drone is what is the catchy word today. But we know as we go along that this is going to be a big industry for us as well. So this is the area that we are looking at it, and we're talking and the context of the presentation and the conversation that we're going to have today is more in the mining, drilling, industrial operations space. With that, we'll go to the next slide. Oops, I'm not able to. There I am. So we're talking about how do you revolutionize mining and industrial operations using transformational technology. So that's sort of like the essence of this presentation. We move to the next slide. So here is what we thought we would give you, is basically a sectoral view of the mining industry. And like I said, it can apply to oil rigs, drilling, and other industries as well. And I'm not sure if there are anyone here in the audience who actually belong to this sector. And if you do, then you will probably agree with what I've tried to put on the slide. So the biggest challenge that we hear today across globally is decarbonize. I don't know if any of you were present, or I'm sure you would have at least listened to the news about how actively India is trying to decarbonize. They're trying to push biogas and hybrid vehicles, and trying to stay away from fossil fuel as much as possible. So I guess a colliery or any mines, this is really your biggest challenge, because you end up emitting the maximum greenhouse gas effects globally. So this is a challenge that we see a lot with our clients in the mining industry. Health and safety risk always goes without saying. Every day there's always a hazard or a risk to an individual's life or a worker's life, and how do you mitigate that? Because I think lives of people are the most critical part, and today robotics is such an area where you can quickly eliminate that risk using robotics. The third critical element is we can't just do away with the industry, because they're critical to our existence, and no matter what it is, coal is required, oil is required, and they sort of are raw materials to a lot of products that we use today and a lot of other industries. So they're here to stay. So how do we ensure that this sector leverages technology and robotics and AI and everything that is there out there today, and utilizes all of them to make their industry more sustainable. So next is what I talk about is our mantra. And what is our mantra? We are introducing what is called our mantra, which is I square, AIS square. And what is AIS square, kind of translate to? We believe this in this sector, we talk about autonomous, intelligent, safe, and sustainable. So these are the 4 key words that we picked and we coined it to save eyes too. So what does it do? We believe that if you have autonomous operations, you are safe and you can save your workers. If you have an intelligent operations, you can do precision mining, you can cut out a lot of waste. And with that comes safety, and you make your operations sustainable. What are we doing really? And what are some of the use cases that you could potentially look at where AI and robotics can completely transform the sector, as we said? You can use technologies such as remote monitoring and surveillance. We are going to talk a little bit about surveillance and monitoring. The way the operations happen today, if you have an open mine or open cast mine, you can actually monitor, but if it's an underground one, you can still do it. You can actually eliminate total number of people if you deploy robotics in these areas, and you can deploy them to do simple stuff which workers are doing. Doesn't always have to be a large application. At the same time, if you had line of sight to precision mining, you may be able to avoid a lot of blasts, multiple blasts, unnecessary rework, and all of that. So we believe remote monitoring, predictive analytics, we believe is very, very important in this entire gamut of activities that you do. And there is a lot of data available today, but I don't think any of our clients in the industrial operations use that data effectively. And at the same time, we can, we could potentially come up with a great project for your future mines, or a feasibility study or a pre-feasibility study, which can really, really help you in your endeavor or your mining expedition. And like I said, this will improve your efficiency, safety, and you have sustainable gains. With that, I want to talk a little bit about the AIS components, AI square, I square as we call it. I'm not able to see there's a chat. I hope there's no question for me. If there is one, then you can just Janice, would you let me know if there is something for me? I'm unable. Okay, so it's from you. Sorry. Analyzer in the mining space, and the analyzer basically is nothing but a miner's toolkit. We're going to talk a little bit about the toolkit. So the toolkit sort of applies multiple things like mineral exploration from satellite information, underground pipelines, etc., data that is already available. We do a large amount of geotagging using our own analytical tools and our robots, and we fuse most of it to give you a holistic report or a toolkit, which will actually tell you whether you should mine in this specific area and what tools should be allocated to that area, so that you can cut down your rework or make an intelligent decisions to say that this is the right area for me to mine, and this is going to give me what I'm expected to get from my mining project. So this is the analyzer. I'll talk a little bit about the analyzer. And of course, the dashboards are a second component of this whole thing. Dashboards are critical for any industrial operations. There are performance dashboards to see what has been your yield, how your workers are operating, how your machinery is deployed is delivering. So that is something that you could get from your dashboards, that we talk a little bit about it. And the third component in mining and drilling aspect is that we at industrial operations is operational support tools. Now we have a lot of tools, but we're going to talk very specifically about two of our tools that can be utilized for your operations, and hopefully that is a pain point that we have seen with clients. So with that, we move to the analyzer. So what is the analyzer basically? The analyzer is a mine analyzer, the miner's toolkit. Like I said, it's a toolkit. It provides you with certain information that you can leverage to make your decisions. And it can work as a feasibility report or a project planning report or a project implementation report, depending on what your requirement is. And that can be, you can use the entire platform and you can take modules out of this to solve for some of your specific areas. So what we do is, okay, so it is an interoperable platform powered by AI is what we say. We always believe in having interoperable platforms because you don't want to make something that is only very specific to you and does not solve for any other, or people are unable to use what we produce in their there are a lot of third-party softwares that people use. So our analyzer should be compatible. So if you're using our analyzer, you're not restricted just to using our analyzer. You should be able to take the information that you get here and apply it on some other platforms that you may be using already, or any of your earlier legacy platforms. So they should be exportable. What does it really do? So we have a layer of satellite imagery. We use that to aid in mineral exploration. So if there is something that we want to mine and we want to very specifically see, target an area which has 80%, 90% iron ore, or, this is the area that we should really, shortlist or hone in on. So that is something that is provided by aerial or satellite imagery that we have is determining the natural and geological different tendencies that you have. And what kind of topology do you have? Do you have a lot of seismic activities going on there? So this is what it will also provide you. We have what is called the surface and underground feature analysis. If you look at a GIS map, you would just get a basic map with lat and long. But if you really wanted to geocode every object, you would have to do that so that you have a more clear, holistic overall plan. And the plan doesn't just normally come from the satellite. For that, we have our own robots and platforms. If you don't want to use our robots, you can use any of your cars or existing vehicles, and we will mount our survey geotagging solution on top of that, and it'll go and geotag every object. It also has the ability to look underground. Our sensor platform can tell you how deep can it go and where is the rock sort of formation. Do you dig around it? Do you have to dig right into it? So it gives you a sort of understanding of how the entire topography is distributed, with every object being geotagged around it. We also provide what's called the elevation and slope assessment. So you should be able to understand, okay, this is the slope that we would get. This is the right place for mining. And then feasibility planning and implementation. Yeah, we will, like I said, take all of the existing maps that you have. We will take our own maps. We will take the localized geocoded maps, and we just to say that this is the area that you should start with. This should give you an yield of X. This is the level of digging you may potentially have to do. These are the tools that you may need to allocate. And this is the level of work that you probably may need. So we'll give you an estimated project report kind of thing, which becomes like your toolkit in our analyzer module. And we are actively demonstrating this because we believe that This is really an area that can be leveraged, and we don't believe it exists today. It may exist in smaller pieces, but a holistic report today does not exist, and we believe it'll really solve some of the most critical pain points that the industry is potentially facing operations. So this is one of our offering that we provide to the group here. The next thing that I'm going to talk a little bit about is the challenge map, as we call it, the ICE square challenge map. So how do we do this? The preliminary mineral ore identification without physical excavation. Everywhere for a miner, you understand that you have to physically go to an area, dig, and understand if there is enough thing that's available. So you have to do a lot of tests. You can eliminate a large part of that by actually using spatial data. You can use our ground analysis mine analyzer, like I talked about, and our feasibility analysis to at least give you the first level of information. So your first level of information doesn't necessarily have to come from digging or excavating. So that could possibly be your second or the third step if you really wanted to do it. But this is what we provide. The second thing is that we talk about lack of on-site data that results in rework. So what are we doing? We're geotagging on-site features. So if you have rocks or elevation, trees or whatever, features you have, it's mapped. Everything is mapped. We also have the slopes. We also do the stability analysis for you. What is a rock mass analysis? And then you sort of ensure that you optimize your mining resources so that optimal resource allocation can be done. And finally, the health and safety risk. We can do asset tracking. We can understand how many people are underground working. What is the level of gas emission? We can do alerting, tracking, look at seismic activities. We can have alerts. And at the end of the day, we can provide a compliance, governance, and disclosure. The ESG aspect of it becomes very important. So this is something that we bring to you. So these are typically the challenge map, as we call it, and we are able to address all of this using our AIS Square solution. Let's go to the solution component. What does it really do? So basically, it's our proprietary platform, which is satellite and other sensors for precision mining. So our focus really goes down to precision mining so that you don't have to go blast every site and use multiple tools to dig and find out that, this is probably not the right place. So that's why we say our proprietary platform will give you all of these analytics. We have a user interface like any other software would. So the component really is a multi-layered sitemap. You can have visualization, simulation, and you have mineral tagging. It sort of gives you everything for it has a viability matrix, like I said. It gives you to plan. It gives you it can become your project manager for all you know. You can then assess what your resource allocation should be. It can monitor how well it's progressing, if additional resources are needed to be allocated to this project. It'll sort of give you a trigger, etc. So that's really our user interface. These are the different types of things that you could do using this. Our software is nothing but a geospatial analytics, data analytics, sensor analytics. Everything is inbuilt, 3D mapping, feature analysis, pattern analysis. So this is really our proprietary software. It sort of does that. And what is the hardware that we use in our on our platform? They're really the sensors, and you can name it all, and all of the sensors are there. We have a storage unit, and we of course have our own onboard computer or processor. So these are typically the solutions that the solution component of our product. So this is the analyzer that we talked about, and these are the solution component. Now, what does the dashboard sort of look like? So these are some of the illustrative things that you could get. You can get a 3D topology map. You can see what it looks like. You can see a mineral distribution map where, what is the extent and what percentage of minerals are available in an area that you sort of map. you can get your gas and pipeline maps that are already there so that you don't end up digging something for something else. And then you can have heat maps to see how they work. So you can have any sort of visualization that you require. The second one sort of talks about if you have layered visualization. So how many people at what level, and what is the work extent, what is available, and they're all labeled. So you could get something like that. The ones below are more operational dashboards. So you can really look at for a very specific area, are there any seismic activity when you're blasting something, what level of temperatures that you see, your workers, are they working at a decent temperature or compliant temperature or ambient temperature or whatever you would want to call it. Your legal emissions are within legal limits, or your emissions are within legal limit, etc. So you can look at that. You can look at what your mining production performance has been. You can also look at how your machinery is performing. At the same time, you can also look at how many people are assigned to a certain project, and are they safe, they're coming out out of the area, etc., etc. So we can give you any level of detail that you want, or any sort of cuts that you would you would like from your for your operations. So all of that can be offered to you. So that's really what the dashboards do. So you have operational dashboards and you have performance dashboards as well. Here is talking a little bit about the process flow, so you understand this a little more. Maybe this is more information that I should provide, but a little more information is always good. How does the process work for us? So we look at spatial maps, which will sort of give you the mineral detection capability. So it's a very high level spectral images. They detect what mineral signatures and then locate them. So you can really geotag where iron is available, or whatever that mineral is available, coal or whatever. Then you go on to a data logger that we can plug onto any robotic platform, an aerial platform, or your vehicles that you use for elevation mapping. So it can kind of tell you where the slopes are, how elevated, and sort of do the entire planning for you. Then the third step is data collection of objects detected by the sensory system. So we have a sensor board and is able to detect all different types of objects, and then it can start tagging them. Then the next step is you can do some manual logging, like, you do have like the pipeline maps, and you have other maps that are already available to you from different departments that you do. And then you can sort of ingest the data into our platform for additional information and layering of the maps. And then, like I said, you geotag every object that you have in that area so that you get a complete view or a proper map of that area. Then we use the algorithms to sort of post-process or clean up the data and provide you the 3D map containing the composite information. So you don't have to look at different maps, but you can look at a fused maps, which will give you everything possible in a 3D map. And this can then further be used for mining actions and allocating correct equipment, tracking, and monitoring. So this is sort of how the process goes. So it doesn't really mean that the output is just a digital map. The output is basically the map of the area, which will tell you what is on the surface, under the surface, in and around the area. If you can get only 50% yield of a certain mineral from this area versus getting an 80% yield from a separate area, you can make those decisions. We will provide you all of that data. So this is how the process more or less works. So that was, that talked a little bit about the Mine Analyzer, which is what is our core platform that we're extensively trying to socialize with our miner friends and our oil rigs and our industrial friends. who are looking at something like this more from a feasibility planning project, managing day-to-day operations when it comes to a lot of data analytics. So that's the part, that's the analyzer module that we are trying to position in front of our potential clients. The second piece of this is more around the operational tools that you can use to, utilize in your current day-to-day operations or your industrial operations. And in the industrial operations space, we have multiple tools, and I haven't talked a lot about these robotic tools or arms or platforms that we have that we use for solving for some of the specific areas. And I haven't talked about those very specifically because each industrial operations may have a very specific requirement for themselves, and not necessarily that particular product may be applicable to other industries. I know that there are problems, if you look at a gas furnace or a furnace, blast furnace, you might require a different contraption, or your requirement may be different from what may be required by a colliery, or a steel plant's requirement could be very, very different from a logistics plant or something of that sort, where they're just hauling objects, etc. So here is what I would so I have tried to talk a little bit about the operational tools, which are more not very specific, but sort of agnostic, and applies to most of the operations or industries today. So what we have is an autonomy stack that we talked about. Basically, it has a multi-sensor fusion board with our onboard computer and our proprietary software. So if you want to use that to do any of your purpose, so for instance, you want a robotic platform to go and start digging or drilling, you could make it do so using a remotely operated system or your iPad to make it work, or you can make it autonomous for it to be able to find its own way, go there, dig up the place, get the information, and you sitting remotely can actually monitor how that's done. So that's the platform that we have. You can just plug it to anything. You have your own drones, you can just plug them on the drone, and the drone can move around and sort of move to wherever or whatever activity you want it to perform, it can do. But basically, this unit or this plug and play device will make it autonomous. So that, since we talked about our I square hat autonomous is one of the biggest areas, specific area that we think is a pain point. So we thought we should build something that can make anything autonomous. So that's one of the objects that we have. The second one that we are talking about is the management hub. And this is an area that we have seen mostly with all our clients. Their supply chain is always impacted because they do not have effective GPS coordinates. Typically in areas such as a plant, you would not have GPS signals coming to you most of the time because there are multiple interferences. And that has been a case with us even when we work with the government. So you cannot always rely on GPS to give you the best location. So if you don't have that, then it becomes very, very difficult for you to kind of localize and understand or utilize it for fleet management for an easier way to kind of explain. So if you have locomotives that are carrying your raw materials and taking it to a certain place, you need to ensure that they're navigated. There's a navigation system. You must understand that the locomotives are moving at the right speed that they're expected to. you have to understand if there are other, other locomotives or cars or whatever that is, trucks present there, so that you kind of monitor your speed, and you don't have to waste time by waiting for the other the other locomotive to move. So basically, it'll just streamline your entire logistics supply chain. And you don't have, there's a lot of wastage today because you don't have maps, you don't understand exactly where each of your locomotive is positioned. You don't know how much time it's going to take to move that locomotive or that vehicle from that specific area to the other, and how much time is going to get consumed there, so that you can start planning for your next movement. So this was always a challenge in areas that we work or with clients that we worked in. And we believe that this is an area that can be applicable to a lot of other clients. So this is something that we wanted to talk about in terms of making your supply chain more efficient, and enabling what we call the entire industrial operations, making it seamless, and not always people dependent. So this is something that is applicable to everything. And then finally, I think I talked a little bit about this. You can use our platforms, you can use your own platforms. We can give you the autonomy piece of it, or the plug and play autonomy suite that we call it, and you can utilize and plug it onto your systems, and your systems would sort of become autonomous and start delivering what is expected of it to deliver. For instance, if you wanted to find the shortest route, it will find the shortest possible route and go and do the activity for you. If you want to use something for overhauling, or you want to use for transporting material, you could do that. If you want it to just do a topology mapping, you wanted to do video mapping or something, you can, or when some operation is going on, you want an additional layer of videography to see that it is operating at a level it is expected to do so, you can just use your drone and plug our software, and it can just go and make the drone autonomous, and it can go to areas that you want it to cover, and it can do that and come back to you. So this is the kind of support that we provide to our industrial partners. Like I said, I haven't talked about specific robotic contraptions that we have built for our clients, but these are more generalized that you could possibly use in every industrial operations. So that was sort of like a gist of what we do. And I, that's pretty much what I had, and then in those slides. And I guess, we can open it up for questions if you have any. But what I would what I wanted to talk about, and I know there are people who are here, and if you are in the robotics business, please, come meet us. I'm sure we can work together to build solutions for our partners. If you are computer vision experts, we'd love to have you with us. If you are a miner, or you are from the, if you're from the mining sector, then you must engage with us, because I think we have the best solution for you. And if you're an investor, then you don't have any other place to go to but invest in us. So that's really what I had to say. I hope I've covered everyone. And like I said, thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy day to attend to this presentation. So really, Janice, I think that is really the slides that I had for today. So there are questions, I could take that.
Thank you, Sangeeta, for explaining. We have one question from Ronak Soni on the mining analyzer's accuracy level.
Sorry, yeah, that's a very good question. The accuracy really will depend on the extent of data that is available. I can tell you the results that we have seen where we don't have any GPS and we've done the entire coding ourselves or geotagging ourselves. Our results, I mean, from an accuracy perspective, is almost about 90% or over 90%, depending on the data that has been ingested to us. The satellite data is pretty much, as accurate as it can get. The geocoding data that we provide is as good as accurate as that. Some of the additional information that's there, we put it in. So when we produce a map, it's almost as good as 90% or over 90% accurate, depending on the data that we have. Having said that, I would definitely say that, we actually do at least a centimeter to a centimeter difference. So if you were to go with the GPS and start tagging it, you would probably have exactly the same map as we would provide you with our system. So I don't know if that answers your question.
So, Sangeeta, Ronak this side.
Yes.
Yeah, Sangeeta, so since you mentioned that the accuracy level is 90 or more than 90, right? So what are those 10 percentage where you are not able to get this result?
So see, like I said, right, Ronak, it is what is provided to us. So if I use my platform to geotag every object that's in that is 100% accurate. I've already geotagged everything. The satellite information is pretty much providing you all of that information. But if you are providing some maps to us, which are like 10-year-old or 10 years or 15 years, it depends if things have changed since then. So I would just leave that, on the data that is being provided to us. So our platforms will give you exactly the right data. I mean, you can't go wrong with geotagging of the data. They are how they are. Right.
Right.
So
Understood.
that's why I want to leave that, because if you were going to operate only using some satellite information fused with our own like 3D mapping drones or local mapping solution, then you get exactly the same map. I mean, it's as good as 100% similar if you were
Understood.
to use a GPS.
So this is a satellite based on satellite image. So when we talk about the physical infra, okay, so do you operate into the physical infra because the mining is a altogether different vertical or the zone other than the let's say in manufacturing or other even they used to be on a physical site, but this mining used to happen at the very deep maybe a kilometer or 1.5 kilometer inside the land. Right, so where they used to go and mine, and they have to take dig out, and they have to take the stone or material out. Correct. So in that particular aspect, so do you have any infra where you can help us?
Yes, so there are two things that I talked about a little bit. One is the whole mapping concept, right? So if you're going to start a mining project, then you can use our analyzer to understand what exists in that area. So you know that, this area is very rocky. So the digging will need to be done, in a certain way. And therefore you can allocate your resources like, trucks and whatever the
Yeah.
drillers, etc., that you use. You can actually, plan. Your project planning can be basis the maps or the decisioning suite that we provide to you, which was really geocoding. So if you've discovered that there is some mineral here, say 3 kilometers from now, is the area that we have earmarked. So then we can send our monitoring robots or whatever, and they can start doing your surveys to say that, okay, this area underground seems deep. There are rocks here. This is the elevation that we think you should use. Because today, I think you're using manual ways of calculating how the road construction happens, right? What is the length, etc. They're using some of those. Those can be done using the robots. Now, once you have earmarked the area and you know that this is the area we'll start blasting and start mining, you can do that. Then for your operations, you can use some of our tools that we already have, like our robots, and with certain specific arms to go and do things. So if you tell us that we need some hammer kind of tool that can go and break a certain rock, we can do that contraption for you. So we have platforms that can autonomously move to a certain area. You can specifically tell them that this is the area you go, this is the digging strength that you need, and this is the payload that requires, or this is the arm that is required, or this is the driller that is required, which will go and drill and understand what is there. So those are some things that we can provide, because we have a set of platforms that can do this.
Understood. So I have to move for the next call. Okay. But pardon me. Okay. But yeah, I would like to understand more use cases with respect to your offering. So
Sure.
maybe we'll see how we can connect with our solution team. Okay. I'm not sure where do I need to connect to, so I just need to understand your email ID or so. So I will ask my team to connect with you.
Absolutely. It's so nice, Ronan. I'm happy. We'll definitely connect.
Fine. Okay. Fine. So I have to drop. So definitely we'll connect.
Absolutely.
Sangeeta, we have another question from Atul Deshpande regarding your client. On the same, could you talk a little bit about your recent use cases?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about the recent use case. I'll talk about two clients actually. One is on the one is on the navigation and localization and supply chain efficiency. As we speak, actually, one of our clients has been trying to get information, has been working with everyone, including Google Maps and everybody, to try and get a solution which will enable their supply chain to be efficient. Today, they are unable to do it because they don't have any GPS solution or any localization solution that will provide them a map of where their vehicles are located, and how much time is it going to take for that vehicle to move to the loading station and then unloading. So that entire project we have done for one of our clients, and it's been very, very successful. We're in the trial deployment is already done. The next one, we're actually doing the main deployment, and then this is for a large area. So we're not talking like 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers. It is across almost 100 kilometers. So it's a big project. That's one. The second use case that I can talk a little bit about is the satellite analytics. So here, this client uses satellite imagery, and they want to remotely monitor construction sites. And they are also using aerial imagery to monitor certain construction sites and see what has been the progress. And if they had earmarked, say, it'll take 3 months, say a road construction, it would take 3 months. If it isn't moving as per their project plan, it has the ability to trigger. And it has our satellite map analytics will be able to let you know what is the change it has detected. It's a change detection X%. And were you expected to go to an X+1? So if it is below what the threshold levels, it'll sort of indicate or alert so that you can put additional resources. The second project was really to remotely monitor your operations. So those are two use cases I can talk of who are generally really, really large clients of ours.
Thank you, Sangeeta.
Sangeeta, we have another question on LinkedIn. It's from Pranav Sinha. Can this technology be used to do passive seismic survey for mineral exploration?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because that's what I talked about. There are seismic waves that you need to monitor when you're doing your mining stuff, because you don't want it to sort of break, crash, and that's one big element that you can use. So you can use this platform. You may just pick a piece of it, very specific to your requirement. Yeah, but our sensor board provides you this piece.
Thank you, Sangeeta. We'll just wait for a few moments, and if there are any more questions, we'll address that. If not, then we'll conclude this session. Thank you, Sangeeta. I think that's about
Thanks.
it. Very
Yeah.
insightful.
Okay, great. Thanks, Janice,
Thank
for
you.
helping us to this. All right. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.